We have almost 1,400 farmers growing over 18,500 hectares of catch crops this September through GLAS, between GLAS 1 and GLAS 2. The reason GLAS is paying farmers to grow the catch crops is to absorb nutrients, and therefore they won't be available to leach down to the groundwater or run off a surface with surface water. The catch crops they will also improve the soil. Some of them, depending on which crop we choose, some of them have very deep roots and will improve the soil condition. And they also, with the green material, there's an increase in organic matter, there's an increase in earthworm activity. So overall, it leaves the soil easier to till next spring. So there are lots of soil enhancing benefits to catch crops, as well as absorbing the nutrients. And thirdly, some farmers will be growing them and will graze them with animals, graze them with sheep, which is allowed under the scheme. Under GLAS, the catch crops must contain two species, two crops out of a specific list of GLAS catch crops. They include crops such as oats, clover, peas, beans, vetch, leafy turnip and fodder rape, mustard, buckwheat, rye and tillage radish. And there are specified seed rates of those. So you sow two crops in a mix together, not in two separate strips. Crops must be sown by the 15th of September and must remain in the ground until the 1st of December. You are not allowed to plough to sow these crops. Shallow cultivation, and so there's a number of different machines you can use to sow them. Some people will cultivate the ground first and then will sow them with a seeder, and following this we always recommend rolling. Rolling is so vitally important. It gets the soil to contact the seed, conserves moisture, and just really encourages the crop to take off. There are direct seed drills that sow directly into the stubble field, and there are a number of different machines that farmers can use. Some of the seed are tiny. The oats, the cereal one, is a larger seed, but a lot of the seed are tiny seeds which can easily get lost and really only need to be put onto the surface, whereas the oats and the cereal seed would need to go down 2 inches. So it's important that it gets down to where it needs to grow. We encourage sowing as early as possible to get all the benefits from them. So as soon as possible after harvest, but they must be sown by the 15th of September. We would only recommend fertiliser where you are going to graze the crop, and also where the crop is sown before the 15th of August. Otherwise there's no advantage. You're not going to get the growth, the return on sowing fertiliser. What's very important about catch crops is that they are part of the normal tillage system, which is producing your commercial crops. So it's most important that farmers don't do anything with the catch crop that will interfere with future rotations or cause problems for future crops. Choice of crop here is very important, of which catch crops you use. For example, if you're a cereal farmer, you won't want to maybe have the threat of carrying over of disease into your cereal crop. If you have any intention of growing beans, there's a 7-year rotation required for beans, so you would avoid those if there's any fear that you will be growing these as a commercial crop in that field in the near future. Similarly with brassicas, we're all familiar with clubroot and the 4-year rotation that's required there. So a farmer using oilseed rape would be avoiding the brassicas. So it's very important. Rotation would be the first thing as to what crops you sow.
So for our demonstration today, we wanted to demonstrate the practical sowing and establishment of catch crops for the GLAS scheme. So we focused on 3 mixtures that were there today that we felt that would be used by farmers to establish this crop. The first one was the fodder rape leafy turnip one, which is a very, very small seed, and you require then a seeder that's capable of actually sowing a very small seed. So these tend to be the pneumatic type of seeders that you would see on power harrows for sowing grass seed or very small seeds such as that, and they have been adapted now to spread this seed for the catch crop. So you're talking about, as I say, very, very small seed. So what's being used there at the moment is the Cavernaland disc, which is a 3-meter disc, and it has an APV seeder mounted on it, and basically there's 2 rows of discs that are cultivating the ground, and they are creating the tilt, and you have then a splash plate where the seed is just dropping down after the cultivation, and there's a press wheel coming behind that just firms the seed into the seed bed. We would recommend then that this would be followed then by a roller to get that firm seed to soil contact. So the second machine that we demonstrated here today was a battery operated small seed spreader, which is sold here locally by the Cooney Furlong Machinery Company, and basically what they did was they saw the need to have a cheaper farmer version of these small seed applicators. So Barty O'Connor, who is the host farmer here, had a cultivator already which is very suitable for doing stubble cultivating. He also had a roller on the farm as well, so what he wanted to try and do was buy a piece of equipment that would allow him to sow his catch crop with the independence of having his own machine, but to try and minimise cost. So the machine cost €1,500 plus VAT. He was able to mount it onto equipment that he already had, and it is the same number of runs in that he's cultivating with the first run with the cultivator, and he's actually sowing the catch crop in front of the second process, which is rolling the crop. So he's rolling the seed into the seed bed. So that was, it really suits Barty in that it meant that he was utilising all the machinery that he currently had on the farm. So the third machine that we had here on demonstration today was a Vaderstad Carrier 3-meter drill, and it basically is to represent the fact that any seed drill or corn drill that would be used for sowing grain or seed conventionally can be adapted to do this job also. So you could have a 1-pass machine, or you could have a trailed sower, or you could have this type of machine. Now the one about the Vaderstad Carrier drill is that it is a hybrid drill in that it has a levelling board on the front and cultivator discs, and the cultivator discs are suitable for moving the stubbles in the soil, and then it has a hopper on the top that can hold up to a ton of seed, and then this is metered out then into the cultivated ground, and then there's a rubber packer wheel on the back of the machine which is firming in the seed also. But again, you would roll this afterwards as well. But the third machine, I suppose, is to represent that farmers should look to the equipment that they have on their farm, and it could happen that if someone was sowing a mixture of seeds, a lot of the seeders are designed to, let's say, handle small seed, or they're designed to handle large seed, but not really capable of handling both to have the exact rates going out. For example, if I'm sowing oats, I'm sowing it at 75 to 100 kgs per hectare, which is a very high volume of seed going out. If I'm sowing forage rape, I'm sowing 3 to 5 kgs of that. So the mix is quite different. So in some circumstances, if you're growing a cereal as a catch crop, you may decide to establish them with a drill, and then you might decide to sow your forage rape then using a quad or a quad bike, one of these kind of very small slug pellet, small seeder type seeders to marry in with that also. So I would say, that people should look at the equipment that they have, look at the job that they have to do, and try and get marry the equipment together to get the best kind of cost-effective method of sowing the crop.